Okay, this is a highly condensed version of the story of how I got to write the official biography of the President of Croatia in 1997, how I was hired and what happened. So, in the summer of 1997, I met a fellow by the name of Jakov Sedlar. He was the cultural attaché for the Croatian embassy in New York. Jakov was the official propagandist for the then regime of President Franjo Tudjman. I gave Jakov a nickname. I called him the Leni Riefenstahl of Croatia, but without the talent. Jakov later went on to make a Holocaust-denying film. So Jakov came to me one day and said, "Joe, I want you to write a very important book. It's the biography of our president, Franjo Tudjman." And I said, "Why me?" He says, "We want an American viewpoint." Well, I don't know anything about the man or the country. And I told him the only way I would take the job is if I had editorial control, full editorial control. And he agreed. And so with a large check in my pocket, I went off to Zagreb, went off to Ljubljana, went off to Sarajevo. And this was 2 years after the bloodiest conflict in Europe since World War II. I interviewed dozens and dozens of government officials, one after another. Never have I been lied to by so many people in such a short period of time. And they all wanted to explain very sincerely how these problems started only recently, back in the 11th century. I also interviewed a number of dissident journalists and anti-war activists, and so I got a clearer picture of who this man, Franjo Tudjman, was. He expelled the Serb citizens of Croatia and was directly responsible for the establishment of the concentration camps in Bosnia. So I go back to New York, start writing on the book, hand in 200 and some odd pages as a manuscript. The day after, Jakov calls me into the office, says, "Joe, we like the book very much, but please do consider making small changes." I said, "What?" He says, "First, the title." I said, "What's wrong with In Tito's Shadow? I think it's very descriptive of the man and the country." No, he says, "Please, not to mention anything from former communist time." I said, "Well, that'll make the book, pretty short." And then he says, "Please cut out all mentions of the war crimes." I refused to make the changes, and the book remained unpublished. But Jakov made one last effort to convince me to write a glowing hagiography of Tudjman. It was this letter. All throughout the trip, Jakov had told me about HarperCollins, the publisher of the so-called biography. And this letter was supposedly from the chairman of HarperCollins, a man named Eddie Bell. Notice there's no letterhead, lots of grammatical mistakes, obviously a fake. And so through the years thereafter, the Croatian press reported on the story. They interviewed me where I related my story and also interviewed Jakov, who completely denied any involvement with HarperCollins or Eddie Bell. And reading the article, I thought, gee, if only there was an audio recording of my meeting with Jakov. Well, there is. Give a listen. The audio quality is not the greatest, but you'll get the idea. Please also check out my book, Balkanized at Sunrise, a memoir of a reluctant propagandist. This is the meeting with Jakov after he handed me that forged letter, where he continued to demand changes to the book, but refused to allow me to contact the so-called publishers.
Well, I'm willing to talk, to anybody from the publisher, and they can assign an editor to the book, and you can help us. You can be there at the meeting to give us information. So I'm willing to go over this, with someone from the publisher anytime.
But problem with Eddie is he promised to me to be here on December. So now he doesn't know to.
What about one of their editors or somebody that we can speak to there?
I'll try to, because for me it's hard now. It's just
because what it is that it just seems like an extra process. I don't mind doing it, but it's dragging on because I can sit here with you and we can go over the material, go over the book page by page. That's no problem. I have no problem doing that. We'll talk. We have a good conversation. But then, see, usually when the manuscript goes to the publisher, they assign an editor to it who does the same thing. So I don't have to go through a whole other process doing that, doing the editing of the book a second, third, fourth time. And so if we can try to streamline the process, where I don't have to, it's like we can sit together with you and me and the editor, and we can go through the book. That'll be fine. I think it'd be more productive too, and would save everybody a lot of time. That's what I'm concerned about, really.
you're right that Tudjman was supported from hard right.